All right, what's up, Burners? DC with you here, Feel the Burn TV, and we're going to get right into a special guest that Chella and I have today. Hi, Chella. Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining me. Big day today. Love your haircut, by the way. 23 years together today, our anniversary, June 25th. Love you so much. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me in the revolution and in California, and the revolution continues, Bernie tells us. And we will continue. Lots of stuff happening this last weekend and this last week here in California with regards to the ballot count. And in all areas, we're talking. There's stuff going on with the vote by mail, and particularly we're going to talk today about what's going on with the provisional ballots and the dreaded NPP voter, which is the no party preference voter here in California. Some wonderful distinction. And with us, joining us this afternoon, is Nomi Abadi. Is that how I pronounce your name? Am I getting that correctly?
That is correct.
Okay, awesome. Now, Nomi is a singer, songwriter, and an entertainer, writing a score for a film, I understand. So she does Hollywood work here, but she's also a citizen activist, a concerned citizen, and part of the Bernie Sanders campaign. Now, Nomi, do you work for the campaign?
No, I do not. I'm a volunteer.
You're a volunteer. Okay, I wanted to clarify that. You are just a volunteer,
Yep.
just like us. We're volunteers.
Correct.
We did lots of canvassing and knocking on doors and texting, and so no, not a paid staffer at the Bernie Sanders campaign. Make that clear. But
we work like we're paid, so we're volunteers.
Yes, we are his super PAC, right?
Exactly. Right.
So
Equity Super PAC.
That's right, the Bernie PAC. And the Bernie PAC continues. And we are on guard here in California for the vote because we think it's going to end up a little different than it was on election night, the way they called it. So we've been going down. Chella and I went down to Norwalk here in LA County to do some observation. And Nomi, you're right, it's a great experience. Everybody should do it, especially now they're getting down to the wire. July 5th is when they have to report it. So there's folks going down there all the time, and there's coordinated efforts through LA for Bernie. Ballots for Bernie is coordinating people to go down there. And now, Nomi, I want to hear about what you saw when you were down there with Julie. You were down there with Julie Tyler and some other folks, and just a handful of you, right? Go in, tell us again what happened and what you saw that day.
Okay, well, just to be clear, I was actually with Julie Tyler the following day after she caught the discrepancy. So I was there when we were told that they were going to shift it in our favor. Not really in our, when I say our, I mean everyone's favor. Let's be really clear about that. That is not just in the favor of the Bernie supporters. It's in the favor of the people of California. Everybody who may not have had their vote counted. So Julie and I have been working alongside each other, and so many of us at the headquarters at Bernie's Coffee Shop on Wilshire and Fairfax. And, when I know that June 6th was a really scary day for everybody because that was when they preemptively announced the nominee before California. So we shifted gears and we got into major phone banking and making sure that people weren't going to be turned away from the polls, which ultimately I do think happened. And then, of course, June 7th was equally, by noon, we got a call from the Board of Elections saying that California was in absolute, their words were, California's in shambles in terms of, all the voting problems and everything. So we knew that we would have to get out to Norwalk immediately. I was one of the first people to be out in Norwalk and scope out the scene. And right away I can say that my take on it, I'm sure you had the same experience, it's very transparent. They take you into every single room. You get to watch everything that they get to see. You're watching the workers. You're looking at all the different rooms. I know at the beginning there were so many different rooms of, vote by mails, and then people who, they had their votes snagged, and then you got to see the remake section, and then they developed the tally room, and the
remake section was my favorite. That's like
me
the
too.
pop department. That was really cool.
Super, super cool. So that's where we spend most of our time. I wasn't there the day that they began provisional votes, but if you can think about this, we had as many provisional ballots in this primary as we did in the presidential election.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot, a lot of provisional votes. And then moreover, we didn't even begin counting them until Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
now,
when Julie
the numbers changed on that. I've been looking at the numbers, and the numbers seem to be changing on the unprocessed ones, but they didn't start actually counting those until Sunday, right?
That's correct. And the numbers, according to, because I brought that up to the registrar, the employees at the registrar, I said, why do the numbers change? Because if you go online, they're constantly, you'll see giant jumps, and then you'll see big falls, and they're kind of all over the place. My understanding is as of yesterday morning, they said they had about 213,000 provisional ballots to count. And part of the reason that the numbers change online has to do with the way that the numbers are being input by the people running the computer. So they don't...
Right, getting the stuff through the system.
Yeah, I don't know how reliable. I feel like we're going to really see the numbers after this is done. As important as it is to go to lavote.net and watch everything come through, you're going to see... problems all over the place just because of who is in front of the computer, inputting everything. So we have to be patient.
Well, I think that had a lot to do with the whole process leading up to the election too. Is that they had to have the what do you call it? The rosters out so many days before. I think a month before, 3 weeks before. And the registration deadline was 2 weeks later, so they had to that's why they had to have the supplement. So there was a lot of crossover. I was an NPP voter initially, changed my address, became a Democrat, changed it to Democrat. They updated my address, but they didn't update my party. And so I had to do it again. I had to do it again. I got my Democratic stub, and then when I went in to go and vote early, they said, oh, you need to ask for a crossover ballot. And I'm like, no, look, I have a Democratic card right here. It says Dem on it. And they went back and actually found my Democratic ballot. So, and that they attributed to that same thing, sort of crossover, not catching up with the data.
That's absolutely right. And I think that was one of the biggest problems, is that we had an overwhelming amount of accidental NPP voters, and people didn't know what to do with that. I know that happened to my mother. And I also had to register multiple times, and I have always been I've been Democrat on and off between Democratic and Green Party and Independent.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So I actually registered 3 times, and finally when I was a Democrat, I was like, good, I got my card like you did in the mail, and I showed up to the polls, and my name wasn't on the roster because I was magically a mail-in voter, but I never received my absentee ballot. So
you're one of those.
Yeah, and I was a person also training people on how to register and how to vote. And here I am, and I turn up, and it didn't, So at that point, I was feeling incredibly powerless. But I do have to say, every provisional ballot is going to be counted, so no one has to worry. It's just taking a long time.
That was actually, I think Chella, we were confident of that as well. I mean, we were really impressed with the conscientious staff, people down there, all the county workers. Now, the polling places, that's a whole different story.
And I can talk to you about that. I'll tell you what I learned from, really helpful, is Jeff Klein. He does the outreach program, and he's the one who puts together the teams of poll workers. He's very aware of that fact that we believe, because there were actually, believe it or not, there were 25,000 poll workers in Los Angeles. Wow. There were cases where poll workers didn't even, I'm sorry, not poll workers, there was a case on Wilshire at a polling location where 2 inspectors didn't show up. They're the people who have the ballots. One didn't show up at all, the one who had the ballots. Another guy showed up at 6:30 p.m., and none of the poll workers knew how to handle that situation. So we talked a lot about, how to train. Is it an issue about training? Do they feel like they're not making enough money? It's mostly volunteer. They don't even feel like they have enough money in their budget to even create incentive that way for the poll workers, which is unfortunate. But they're only given $20 million as a budget for the whole election. That sounds like a lot, but if you factor in how many employees they have, how they have to keep them after hours, now they're open on weekends. The people who are supervisors of every room are showing up 7 days a week. They don't have the kind of funding to really hire professionals to run any of this,
Which is a shame. It's a crappy way to run a democracy.
Right, when you find out that like one building in LA, I know the US Bank building downtown is given a $50 million budget to go under construction, and then the LA election is given less than half of that. It's kind of,
and Dean Logan is very proud actually of the fact that they are sitting on money in order to upgrade the system at a later date, and that there's still federal money that they haven't used that they can put towards another election.
That's true. That's true. And as far as Dean Logan goes, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I after spending enough time with, especially Jeff Klein. Jeff Klein, he was the absolute most informative and thorough person that I met at the Registrar. He's the only person that really took the time to sit for hours and walk for hours and discuss everything thoroughly. He is, he feels like Dean Logan is doing the best he can. I mean, I know my campaign feels a little torn about that. We don't really know who to complain to about these things. So the thing that I'm trying to do is bridge a communication with them, so we can work together to create a better, what is it called, like a transition between the voters on one hand and then the registrar. It's like the registrar is doing their job, the voters are doing their job, and then as I explained to Jeff, there's a complete drop-off in between where we're just not reaching each other. They have hundreds of partnerships. Yeah. We didn't even know that we could even go see the tour until we had to, because we had no choice. So I'm going,
or the crossover ballot, the Democratic crossover ballot. What the heck is that?
We didn't know. We said, that wasn't explained to us in the campaign.
I got a question. Did you ever see one? I mean, did you ever see a crossover ballot?
Not until I saw one in the remake section, and then I picked one up and I went, I have never seen this in my life. We didn't. We were told they were the same thing by whoever we were getting our information from.
So now, who is there's an official that is guaranteed that these ballots are being counted. The intent of the voter is being considered, and at least in LA County. So who is this person that told you this?
That came from Aaron Navarez. He is the chief executive, and I actually have a quote from him because I made him. Not only he sent an email out to our campaign that said, "For sure, I promise they're being counted." I know I've seen it myself. They had a meeting all together. They've discussed this. The entire team, they're all aware, and they think it's great. They're happy to do it, and I think everyone feels a lot better. I know that Aaron, agreed to give me a quote about exactly how they're implementing it. But they had to go in and change the computer system to even allow a duplicate ballot to be remade. That's the one place I want to look into a little bit more, that they changed their computers, overnight when no one was there. So that's the only place that we're feeling a little like,
no. But other counties.
Very interesting.
I know. I was assured that it was fine, but I said, I have a talk with their IT guy coming up, so we're following up about that one.
Oh, that's great. Because I've heard some testimony from some IT guys about what they can do, very simply. So it's
right. Hey, I want to plug in my my computer because I just realized it's running out of battery. Let me do that really fast. Sorry, one second.
No worries, all good. We'll banter.
How do we know that the intent of the voters being carried through like it is in LA County in other counties?
Well, I think that's our next question, really. Yeah. I know Sonoma. I understood Sonoma, according to Reddit, is
because especially the ones that are finished.
Yeah, are they going to go back and pull all those ones that have been set aside? I mean, they haven't thrown them out.
As you can see, I'm not really a video interview professional, but
no, it's good. Believe me, it's
me too.
Yeah, this is Chella's second time, literally. So
cool.
I don't know how to break in and ask a question yet. I haven't figured that out.
What is your question?
My question is how you got this fellow in LA County to say that all of the provisional ballots are going to be honored, the intent of the voters is going to be honored. How do we know that that's happening at other counties throughout California?
That's a really good question, and I'm glad that you brought that up because this ties in with the conversation I had with Jeff yesterday about how to do more outreach. This error was caught by Julie Tyler, who is a very assertive, lovely, well-intended human being, and I think they could tell right away that we're in the best interest of the people, of everybody, and she vehemently fought for it with the team, and I think that's why they honored it really quickly, because their big thing is voter intent, voter intent, voter intent, and we said, well, where's the voter intent if they're not going to honor this, and so they did, and they were really proud of it, and so basically that's when I went in and I posted on Facebook, and the next thing I knew, I texted my best friend and I said, hey, I said, oh my God, I got like 25 shares, that's so cool, and then I went to sleep, and then I woke up the next morning and I was like, oh my God, it's on Reddit. So the news actually went out, and I got over 100 messages, and that includes, emails and over Facebook and comments of people asking how to get involved. So I said, continue sharing this. And I asked everyone to do the same thing like what you guys did. I said, go to your county, go check it out for yourself, show up in person and ask the counties. And mainly tweet this, whatever we can do to reach Alex Padilla. Because as long as we know that it gets into his hands, or at least we get his attention, then he can turn around and make sure that every county is implementing it. Now,
has there been any response from the state? Have you heard anything from Padilla or his office? I
know that we haven't heard back, but we know that he's aware of it. So hopefully, the thing is, by now, there have been thousands and thousands of shares of this whole issue. So I feel like we're doing a lot on our own, but we absolutely need the confirmation from Alex Padilla. I don't know if we've gotten that yet. And technically, we haven't
his office maybe on Monday.
We have. I mean, we've called him and emailed him.
Keep calling,
yeah, and my friends.
Everybody should keep calling. It's a public number. Everybody from every county should be calling that office every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my friends up in Sacramento are trying to get into his office too to get that off to him.
How about a sit-in? How about a sit-in, Democrats?
Seriously, I know. Yeah. Well, and I wanted to add too, when Jeff Klein is telling me, and I believe him, they're doing everything they can to teach people how to vote right and to teach them about the system, and they're going to high schools and colleges, and they're just raising awareness. And I said, all that may be true, and I'm sure that it is. I know you're doing a great job. But I sat at my computer and wrote a status that got shared across the state. And it took me 5 minutes, and that made more headway than all of the stuff you guys have done. So there's a problem, there's a systemic issue about why this happens anyway, and I feel that
the
training at the end. We don't know how, but that's what we're trying to work with them on.
Yeah, the training in Los Angeles was there for people that bothered to show up, that paid attention, that weren't rushed out.
They weren't even required to show up.
Right. $25, get your $25 if you want to come on down and get your training. And then, you've got the AP, people didn't bother to even show up to the poll workers, so they was completely understaffed. Can't get the machines going because they didn't get the code. It was what Reggie Watts would call a fuck shit stack of stuff going on. And it started in 2012, really, even before that, really. We've had same-day voter registration on the books since 2012. And there was an amendment that was put in that said, oh, well, you're going to have to get this whole system together, a database of all the voters before we can implement that. And in 2014, the Secretary of State tweeted out, oh, well, this isn't going to be going until at least 2016. So here we have a law that's on the books, just like your top 2 law, which got implemented, on the books, sitting there waiting, that would have solved all of the problems of the MPP voter and the crossovers and the whole 9 yards. But it'd be like, I need to vote for Bernie Sanders. Okay, register as a Democrat. Whatever it takes, you could do it right there instantly, and people would know, and it would be over, But this is the thing, you keep adding these things on top of each other, and you can't just point to one thing that says, oh, this is voter suppression, this is election fraud and theft. It's like the cops in Baltimore. Nobody killed him individually, so they're not going to get in trouble for it because they can't prove that it was all one big murder.
That's exactly right, and it's a systemic issue. That's why I keep gearing it. This is not. We can't blame the fault completely on the voter registrar because they're victims too. They are actually victims. I brought this up to Jeff too. I'm as transparent as they are. Said that you're actually victims of structural violence along with the rest of us, right. And they're getting suppressed and getting out their information just as we are. So I said that's why we have to come together. And to be honest, the more that our campaign showed up and the more that they realized we weren't going to go away and that we really do want to work together and we're not there to fight and to hurt anybody. We're trying to work with them because, how better than to fix a problem than to engage all of us and all the people. When they realized that and they softened a little bit, they realized we weren't after them to, I don't know what they must have thought, but like a lot of people are scared of Bernie people for some reason.
Yeah, well, I saw.
Truth is really scary. I know, my God, but once they realize we're really on the same page, then now they're really opening up and we're beginning to make at least a little bit of headway bridging that. So.
I was at Politicon earlier this afternoon for the Bernie panel, and the mainstream media up there was not getting a great reception from the Bernie crowd, indeed. But it was completely skewed as far as representatives of both sides. It was definitely skewed in one direction, and security was called on Lauren Steiner, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow at the march. So, but everybody was very, everybody was very pro digital media. Annika Sparing was there for TYT. She was basically the hero in the room, and Eugene Robinson and Paul Begala on the other side, and of course Torre, who was, and Lauren basically tried to do a mic check, and got shut down. Almost had security called on her. Then went to Lauren. Another person who is fearless and will go, well, if she sees something, she's going to say it. She's going to get up and she's going to say, there's something wrong here, and we have to do something about it. And so she had a confrontation with Torre on stage afterwards. So, the media is the media. They're part of the establishment. So, we're chipping away to California. They're not talking about it because, it's a done deal for them. And
it's so weird. And it's like I want to clear up like this stuff. When we hear anti-establishment, immediately I think of, to be honest, we once associated that with Bernie, but now that's become like a Trump thing. So just to separate the Bernie anti-establishment from the Donald Trump view of anti-establishment, establishment doesn't have to be bad. It's not that we don't want any establishment. It's just that this establishment is what we're trying to come up against, right? So let's be clear about that. We're not the same as Donald Trump supporters in the sense of anti-establishment, but you're absolutely right. It needs to change before we can get on board and support it.
Well, power tends to centralize no matter what, and
absolutely.
Eventually somebody else becomes the establishment. But this establishment, unfortunately, is working for the 1% and above.
Right.
So Nomi, what do we do next? How many days left do we have?
Okay, what's today? June 25th. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we have exactly. God, is that really a week? Okay, we have about a week until they'd like to wrap up the vote count. The only reasoning for wrapping it up by July 1st and kind of rushing it is to, I guess, give everybody the holiday.
Right.
Oh no.
And we're no, take your time. We're trying to push to do it thoroughly and finish it. Of course we want to finish it timely, but we have until the 7th. So I really hope that they're not going to rush the tail end of it. I will be transparent about this. At the beginning of ballot counting, it was a really big deal to go through and double check and triple check and even quadruple check amongst different people the votes, which is why I felt really good about it. And at this point, I was told by one of the tour guides there that there's absolutely no time to now double check and triple check votes. So I know that the process is getting a little hastier, and I think that that's why it's so important to get everybody to go out to, visit your county registrar. I've said that 100 times on all my posts and everything. It's so important. Of course, tweeting about this and talking to people about this, having conversations and raising awareness that this is still happening. And Bernie is, we're not allowed to see numbers, which is super frustrating, like not any tally, I should say, amongst one or the other. But it's my understanding that Bernie is going to close a gap with a lot of provisional ballots. So we're expecting him to catch up more or less. I don't know, is he going to win California? I hope so. At the very least, I'm sure there's going to be something close to a tie, not a big 20%.
There's one school of thought that's he's maybe going to get to about 5-6 points. There's another school of thought. There's a young guy I'm talking to on Twitter that he's been crunching the numbers, and at the rate that he's been winning, the back end of this election is basically the flip of what happened, initially. So it's he thinks it could get 9 to 10 points, turnaround. So it's going to get very close.
Yep, he's flipped a ton of counties so far. The best is when he flipped Orange County. I don't know if he's going to maintain.
No, wait a minute. He flipped. I thought I just looked at Orange County and it wasn't flipped, but Orange County is flipped.
He had flipped it, and then I think it may have gone back. Now it's supposedly very close, but he did at one point flip it over. So we're hoping that he'll take it.
It's battling back and forth in Orange County. That's interesting.
And I'm from Orange County. I'm from very conservative Orange County. So man, if he flips Orange County, I'm like, oh my God, there's definitely hope.
Amazing. That'd be amazing.
Well, it's the liberal centers that aren't going for him. What's up, San Francisco? Oakland. Okay, Oakland flips.
I have my own theories about that. I don't know if that's a real read. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Of all of information, that didn't make any sense. But we'll talk about that another time.
It's a tangled web.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we're on it. We have a great campaign. I feel like the volunteers, we are really holding it down. I'm proud of my team. I'm proud to be part of it, and we're not going to stop at all. You know
what? I'm feeling like the energy is actually sort of, we've regained energy. It looks like Bernie's regained energy. He looks great in his brown suit. He looks energized that he's, in New York.
Oh my God!
The other night was just amazing. It feels like there's a new energy in the campaign that's allegedly over.
You know what it is? It's the revolution. It's starting right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, he was the spark.
We can sense it. Yeah, 100%. He woke up the country, and I had a really lovely conversation with my friend John in the campaign last night, and he goes, we're talking about how does this 74-year-old man go to 5 counties every single day, nonstop, talking and fighting for years? Where does he get his energy from? And he goes, once you see things this way, once you're woken up, you can never go back. I'm like,
that's true.
That's why it's going to continue, because you can't unsee what you see. There's no way out. So the only way is to push forward.
It's true. It's true.
And I was watching the People's Summit over the weekend, and they're really, there was still this, we're going to have to vote for Hillary, but really I think Sean King said it in one of the breakout session. There's a video of him talking about how there wasn't a People's Summit after 2000 when Gore quit and went away. There wasn't a People's Summit in 2012. There wasn't in 2008. Obama basically, what Bernie said at the very beginning, he just walked away from the people. This giant mass of people, records more than Bernie, and he did nothing with it, really. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's why this is so much bigger than the presidential election. No matter what happens, Bernie has the support of millions of people. He shows up in numbers, not in money. And we know we have a lot more people in this country that respond to numbers than money. So as long as that's the case, I think, what is it, that 200,000 people have now involved themselves in applying in Congress and Assembly and doing what I'm doing and volunteering for the cause just because of Bernie. So no matter how you look at it, and he's always said from the very beginning, in order to really fix the system, getting a president on top of all of it doesn't really do anything if the entire mound underneath is not working. So he says you need to begin from the bottom of it and build it up. And that's what we're doing. We're getting new, fresh, real people, who want the right things and are not going to settle for less, into politics from the ground up. So we're witnessing the beginning of a lifetime social movement. This is the most important thing that's ever happened in my lifetime in history, and I know it. Everyone on my campaign knows that you know it too. Yeah, and you will. And my mom, I won't say what year she was born, but she said, Nomi, this is, she goes, you'll understand how important this is 20 years from now, but you won't believe the impact that this is having on our country. And I said, we can feel it. That's all I know I can go off of.
Totally. Yeah. Well, fight on, onward.
You too.
Yeah, well, we'll check back in with you for updates. We're neighbors, basically, I think, at this point. Yeah, we're actually neighbors. So yeah, we'll get together at another time, and maybe we'll see it. Well, I'll be at the March tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know. Are you going to go to March?
I'm going to try my best to make it. I'm going to try my best. I stopped working for the last 2 weeks. I haven't touched. Right. I'm writing a new album. I have a movie that I need to finish scoring that's due this month, and I kind of put my whole life aside to work on the ballot. So I'm going to do my best to make it. But if I'm not there, I promise I'm there in spirit and online.
All right.
Well, you can watch it. You can watch it on feeltheburn.tv. And where can folks find you? Find your music? How can folks get a hold of you and let you know about what's going on with their counties with this count?
I would check on my Facebook because I am mainly I'm updating people as much as I can about everything, and that is facebook.com. I just had to go pull up my own website because I don't even. It's facebook.com/Nomi. Yeah, Nomi Jane Abadi. So it's NOMI JANEABADI.
I'm gonna use technology. Watch this.
Oh my God. What's that? What are you doing? Wait, I need to go back to your. Oh hey! Look at that! Oh cool. All right.
That's your and then let's see, and then of course this is your Twitter. Is that you? That's your Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah?
My Twitter.
Okay, cool. Well, you're doing yeoman's work out there for democracy, Nomi.
Thank you. So amazing. Are you. Appreciate it. It's just, I wanted to, I only joined the campaign. I was sick for a lot of the year, and when I got sick, I was bedridden for about 3 months, and I started phone banking. And then, I know, that's how I got into campaigning. And then on June 1st, I really joined, and it's only been since June 1st that I've been this involved. So look how much you can do when you really care.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you've only been really on the ground for Bernie since June 1st this year? Not last year?
I was at his first rally in Los Angeles last year. So, no, I've been feeling the burn for a long time.
We were there, too. That was pretty awesome.
Okay.
It was great.
Cool.
It was amazing. Yeah, no, I got involved last summer during the Bernie blackout and trying to get the word out, and that was one of the things that came out today. Was just like on that panel was like, he wasn't able, he wasn't out there soon enough. He wasn't out there soon enough, and we were like, hello, can you see what you're saying?
Didn't cover him.
You didn't cover him. That's right. Exactly.
Oh, he's been. My mom has been talking about Bernie for 10 years. So I've been on about Bernie Sanders for a long time. Yeah, So he's been around. But man.
Progressives know who he is. But he really was. There was truly a Bernie blackout last season. But we're all doing what we can. It's great. The energy is there. The revolution continues. And with Nomi you're done with watching at this point. I think you've done enough. You need a break from you need some other folks tag team. You can go to ballotsforbernie.org and get on a list and join a team to go down there and finish this count. Apparently they want to go to break like the House of Representatives. No bill, no break until it's time to go on break. So. Don't get so these guys want to take a break, but I know that's amazing. They're not going to double and triple check because I'm sure it's because they want to go on vacation.
I know. I'm like, you guys, come on. Like, oi. I mean, even if we, come on. I know. I hope that. All I can say is that they're as efficient as they can be from what I've seen. I want to hope that they've gotten the hang of it to where I'm really looking on the bright side. Maybe they've become such pros that they don't need to triple check.
And they know where they're being watched.
I don't know. They are being watched nonstop.
Yep, that's very good. Well, that's great. Well, keep up the good work. Thanks for doing this. I'm going to get this up on my channel as soon as I can. Probably right away, because it's really good information, and we've got days left. So, Chelly, you want to say goodbye?
Thank you so much for joining us, Nomi. Really, thank you.
Thank you, Chella. And congratulations on your anniversary, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We're gonna. Yeah. Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining me. I would look forward to talking to you again in the near future. Looking forward to more of your music. Well, getting into your music. Honestly, I haven't heard it yet, but I'm going to now. So, see, this is all about the revolution. Is about many things, and this is part of it. Making connections with people. Making connections with people and that are of like mind. So, thank you again. Thanks so much. keep feeling the burn, and we'll see you at the convention. See you in Philly.
Indeed, you guys. All right. Well, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Is it weekend? No, it's not. Is it Monday?
It is.
No,
It's a weekend.
It is a weekend.
This is why I need a break.
We're going to go out for an anniversary dinner. All right. Thanks,
Cool.
Nomi.
Have fun.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.